This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FI Investment Group and your host of Washington Current Review, where we interview leading voices from business and politics that impact you, the viewer. Today, we are fortunate enough to have a guest who is the Chief Information Officer of Montgomery County, which is not that far from here, Sonny Segal. Nice to see you, nice to meet you. It's wonderful to have you come to our show. So tell me a little bit about your background in terms of your work and your role and responsibility as the Chief Information Officer of Montgomery County.
Yes. I'm very happy to be on your show, Frank. Yeah. And, to answer your question, I wanted to say that I'm fortunate, actually, to be the CIO of a public organization such as Montgomery County. I have worked both in government and in the private sector before. I worked for a large company such as the Dow Chemical Company, where I started out as a technical individual, an electrical engineer, but then concluded my time with them as a business planner. So we did venture planning there. Following which I joined government in the Office of Management and Budget.
OMB.
In OMB. And then following which I actually went to work with a partner on a private sector information technology company.
Wow.
Which we scaled from about $2 million or so in revenue to over $50 million.
That's a pretty good accomplishment.
And now I'm back in the public sector as a public CIO.
So you like it?
Oh yes, it's very exciting. Primarily because there is a lot going on in the information technology and telecommunications sectors within Montgomery County. Then that's not the only technology that we have in Montgomery. We are the third ranked biotechnology sector now in the country. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very exciting.
Very broad.
Very broad.
Now, you're writing a book.
Yes,
so tell me a little bit about your book.
Frank, actually I am a contributing author to a book which is known as Smart Cities.
And
now,
what is a smart city in a county? I mean, that'll be my next question after you explain to me about your book.
Yes, and so the book actually has descriptions of what are smart cities. You may, and our viewers may know that the studies from the UN actually show that by the year 2050, 70% of the world's population will be living in cities. So there's quite a trend towards urbanization around the world.
And there's a large migration happening from the villages and to the urban cities.
Yes.
It's happening in India, it's happening in China, it's happening in this country as well.
In this country as well.
So how do you make it, so how is it relevant? What does this smart city means?
Yes, so and in the book we actually try to get to the heart of the matter. In my rendition of it, smart cities have as many as 6 domains in which they must excel.
And what are those domains?
And these domains include a smart economy, have smart governance, have smart citizens, because that is all the crux of the matter, the human capital that is available at any given time for growth. And then smart living, it is all about the quality of life in a community, smart environment, clean living, and smart mobility. Now within this, as the book describes,
and what's the title of the book?
Smart Cities.
Is Smart City the name of the book?
It's going to be published in February
of this year, next year
of 2014.
Okay.
And it is being published by the Public Technology Institute.
Okay.
It is actually a worldwide view of smart cities, not just the U.S. view of smart cities.
So it's applicable to all over the world?
All over the world. Half the contributing authors are actually from Europe and Asia. To go on with the model a little bit, in local government, we are preoccupied with lines of business such as in transportation, broader infrastructure, energy, water, waste, public safety, education, healthcare, and smart or green buildings and citizen services. Beyond all of this, the book goes on to explain that there are potentially 40 traits that cities must and counties must possess to be qualified as being smart. Smart essentially would mean being effective, even though smart has a very
And efficient.
And efficient, yes, because in the world of global competition, every city or county must provide the kind of sustainability economically, physically, and also the ability to think ahead, which is more like succession planning, which is to say, how will the next generation carry out the mission of what is the community and what is the nation? So we're in a community of nations now, a highly competitive and growing competitiveness around the world.
So how's the technology changing the way the citizens utilizing the government service, and especially when it relates to Montgomery County, for that matter, for everywhere? The technology is playing a very important role.
It is, and we are experiencing an unprecedented growth in the amount of devices, which are mobile telephones, iPads, tablets, and wearable electronics now.
Right.
That people are consuming. They want government services to be available on these devices at all times, anywhere.
So do you
And
have
that
an
implies
app?
a lot.
Do you have an app in Montgomery County for the iPhone?
And yes, we do.
You do?
Yes, we do. Such as anyone now, because our boundaries are no longer to the community, the virtual boundaries have become way beyond our physical boundaries, and that's the nature of mobility. Even those of us who travel out of the area want to be able to get back to those services from wherever we are. And so, yes, it's called consumerizing information technology, and we have so much of it. And the government's challenge is to make all of its services, or as many as possible, available on these electronics that I mentioned.
That's the smart.
That is smart.
And that's what you need to do, and especially the new generation, the young generation. They're pretty smart in technology. So,
Yes.
So they want to have access to all these things on their iPhone or iPad or tablet, whatever you have.
Yes,
right?
and we have in the industry, and you well know this, I just wanted to share that we have ways of describing people like myself who may use technology when needed. But then, and we refer to ourselves as digital natives, and the others who are totally living there, such as we are, because we are technologists. I assume you are one too.
Sure.
Right? You are totally into technology. The others are somewhat digital visitors or tourists. They are there only just to look up something on Google, but they don't depend on it. Nowadays, it is said that we look at our telephones as many as 70 times a day, which is unprecedented. Never before did we look at a
telephone. Or are you talking
our
about
mobile phone.
Oh yes,
Yes.
that is the truth.
As many as 7 just to see.
I probably just see it about 70 times a day, checking my email, voicemails, and all these things.
All the alerts that you
All the
get
alerts
because you have
get.
such
You're
a busy
absolutely
calendar.
right. You're absolutely right. I wanted to shift to gear and talk to you a little bit. You know, the Indians have been very successful in the IT and technology area. Do you think this trend will continue? If so, why?
Oh yes, I'm very impressed by all of our country, people of our country origin of people of Indian origin, and should not discount the people from our neighboring countries.
Sure.
Actually, Pakistan, Bangladesh. I work with people all the time who are from these countries. Very entrepreneurial, very much in the mold of the Googles, the Intel, the Microsoft. May not be to that scale, but they are very innovative. They come up with solutions that are commercializable, that certainly can serve smart governments very well. Then there are a lot of thinkers among us, highly educated individuals who are more process-oriented, and the government definitely can benefit from processes to be more efficient, itself be more innovative when it comes to service delivery.
So you see the brighter horizon, you see this trend will continue as far as the new generation is concerned because the technology, the trend, all these things, right?
There is a huge need, evidenced by many factors. One of the factors could be just the size of the information technology spending of the federal government.
Billions
and that's not to say anything of the commercial sectors.
That is a true statement.
And so we have the spending is likely to be somewhere around 70 to 80 billion dollars a year. That's a lot of funding seeking solutions. Granted that 30 billion of that is on the civilian federal side, and
But
then
there's a lot in the defense also.
and then a large amount, 40, 50 billion, plus some other hardware infrastructure that defense does, which could be even accounting for yet another 30 billion unknown dollars spent. But we have such great stories and success stories in front of us. If I may, I would count you as one of our thought leaders, innovators, inspirators.
Thank you. Thank you. Very well said. Thank you very much. Now, as I understand, you track a lot of rising stars. So, is this who are the rising stars you're tracking these days?
It is hard to name just one or two.
But you have several.
Just when I am at TIE DC,
yeah, I know who they are.
There are 100 or so companies that are rising stars that are listed as TIE DC members. Then I'm aware that there are others who are not listed on TIE DC who do not care to be members or did not make the list that are also have great potential, to make a mark in their industries. And what's more remarkable is that it is beyond just hardcore information technology. We have people there who have specialized in education solutions.
Right.
Those that have specialized in just doing things like enterprise architecture.
Sure.
There is a young lady who heads up a very successful company just training U.S. personnel both in the civilian sector and in the defense sector on how to use some of the advanced technologies. And that's a hugely successful company up and coming. Now we have patent lawyers.
Sure.
In those we have venture capitalist firms.
Mm-hmm.
So we're filling out the full gamut of sectors that support the business of investment in information technology.
Do you travel in your role or all over the country, all over the world?
Yes, I have been fortunate to travel to China most recently.
You went with Ike Leggett, the
Yes.
county executive?
Yes,
And that wasn't too long ago. He was impressed when I talked to him.
I see.
He thought it was a pretty good trip.
And it was. For me, to be on a mission, a multi-sector mission to China with our county executive, Ike Leggett, and with our council member, Hans Riemer. By the way, our council member is the lead for technology, for digital government.
You're talking about
Hans Riemer.
Yeah, I do know him.
So they were just two of the people leading the delegation. It was a multi-sector delegation, had education people, superintendents of schools, president of the Montgomery College. We had people from the private sector who have information technology or other businesses here in the U.S. who want to partner with companies in China. We had the hospital sector, the medical sector with us. We visited hospitals, we made connections with counterparts over there. Of course, it was government to government. We met with several mayors. And one of the things that happened was a sister city relationship agreement that was signed with Xi'an.
And city, which city over here in the United States?
Montgomery County, Maryland.
Montgomery County,
so
Maryland.
So we're sister cities.
That's pretty good.
Looking at the future, we have plans. Mr. Leggett is making plans to go to Hyderabad,
to India.
India.
When is that?
In November of 2014.
That's next year.
That's next year. That mission is now being planned. So, and I think there his thinking is that Hyderabad being a model city for the whole world to see how technology as a sector can flourish and be encouraged. He has requested that Hyderabad consider Montgomery County as a sister jurisdiction.
Wow.
So that's yet to be seen.
Yeah. Are you planning to go with him?
I am. Yes, I'm committed to being on that mission with him.
And that's next year in November.
Next year in
And
November.
how long are you going to be there?
So typically the missions are 10 days.
10 days, that's what I thought.
Very intense 10 days.
So what are the big things that are happening in the county as far as the technology is concerned?
So in the county, there are some things that are happening that are internal to the county, trying to improve services within the county. This is the way we do our accounting, we do our hiring, we do our purchasing, and that's known as enterprise resource planning. So that's a multi-million-dollar program that's been put in place. Second, we have for the customer-facing items, we have the 311 number that was implemented a year and a half ago. We have closed 1.6 million customer requests, customer service requests. These would be requests that are of a non-emergency nature. As we know, we'll call 911 for emergency type calls, police and fire, law enforcement. But non-emergency calls could be ranging from, well, your trash did not get picked up, to
right.
a problem with deer in the yard,
right.
dogs barking in the neighborhood,
right.
anything that requires where government can facilitate a response, and they've done 1.6 million calls. Now, what is unique about this is your call is given a customer service request number, and you're able to track it to fulfillment. We internally do all kinds of reporting and analysis to be sure that we are being highly effective. So there's accountability. And finally, I do want to say that not too many of the jurisdictions in the country still have 311 as a service. So this is very big.
This is a big deal.
Yes.
Now, what advice do you have for the people who wants to who's a technologist who wants to become a CIO like yourself? What do you have to do?
And just to be a CIO could be the goal of some, but I think to be successful entrepreneurs, would be an even larger goal.
Exactly.
It definitely helps to have been in the private sector or in the government sector, to understand the workings and the needs of a particular sector. For young people, for people of any age for that matter, to aspire to reach positions where they're able to influence policy and the spending and bring about some real change. So a well-rounded experience is important. Second, networking is very important. Network with mentors, that's networking up. Network with peers laterally. Go to events like the IDC.
So you get to know a lot of people.
Get to know people, understand their ideas, connect the dots, basically.
That's the best way to do it. Well, thank you very much for coming to the show. We appreciated that very much, and good luck to you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here.
And thank you for your leadership. So this is Frank Islam wishing you a great week. Thank you for watching.